Hello, I'm Tim Shoebridge. In this video, I'm going to be thinking about the future, which is bizarre. Thinking about the future, thinking about this industry, keyboards, synthesizers, plugins, technology, smartphones, tablets, computers. Where are we kind of going? I think it's a fascinating subject, and I think about it a lot. I don't know why. I do think about it a lot. I don't want you to get depressed with this video because I'm going to suggest kind of a direction that we might be going in. It's not really, rocket science. Trust me, it is the direction that we're going in. Don't get depressed about it. But I'm going to just suggest a future based on another industry, a kind of a parallel industry to the music creation industry. Obviously, the music creation industry, the electronic gear industry, is supporting an art form, music, the creation of music. There's another art form that I'm really, really into. It's been a passion all my life, which is photography and videography and filmmaking. And that is another art form that is supported by a manufacturing industry, the industry of manufacturing cameras and camera gear and stills cameras and video cameras and all that kind of stuff. And both of these industries have been through kind of technological revolutions, and I do really believe that there are strong parallels between them. So that's kind of what I'm going to explore just a little tiny bit in this video. I do hope it's of interest to you. Don't get depressed by it, please. But I really would be very, very interested to hear about your comments, what you think. Give me your comments in the below the video, and I really will do my best to read them and to respond to them if I can. So that's what's coming up. A little bit of crystal ball gazing. I really do hope you enjoy it. Thank you very, very much for watching. The first commercial cameras and synthesizers were big, heavy, cumbersome, complicated things. To operate them, you needed to be more like a scientist than an artist. But technology advanced, and synthesizers and cameras became more compact, more portable, more feature-rich, more reliable and easier to learn. They finally brought out the artist in the operator. Technology advances even further and even quicker, and cameras and synthesizers start to incorporate digital control. You can really say that this period was the pinnacle of analog synthesis and photography. But that said, fully digital was just around the corner. The age of digital synthesis and photography arrives. These devices were initially extremely expensive and yet primitive by modern standards. Computer processors were very slow, computer memory was very expensive. Initially aimed at only high-end professionals, it would take time before digital cameras and synthesizers were in the hands of consumers. Technology continues to advance at an ever-increasing pace. Digital synthesizers and cameras become more and more powerful while simultaneously cheaper to manufacture. The digital age really is upon us. How quickly we get bored. Pangs of nostalgia are pulling at our heartstrings. The benefits of digital technology are soon taken for granted, and there's a desire for the old analog art form again. Analog is cool again. It's even a hipster thing. Analog synthesizers and cameras make a comeback. We invest all our time and money trying to make digital look and sound like analog. But that's okay, because
we have mutated to survive.
Quietly in the background, technology has been evolving at an ever-quickening pace, and before you know it, digital cameras are almost entirely replaced by a combination of smartphone and AI technology.
One, two, three, four.
So that's kind of my little go at trying to give you some parallels between those two industries, the camera industry and the electronic music gear industry. And I know I haven't got everything right there at all, but I do believe there are strong parallels, because these are both industries that support art, and both those industries have gone through and are continuing to go through a technology revolution. And when we look at the camera industry, it is not completely dead by any means at all, but it has changed drastically, and it will continue to change drastically. You know, the fact of the matter is that the vast majority of people 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago that bought cameras were just normal people who would go on family holidays and want to kind of capture moments on holiday. They would be not photography enthusiasts and not photography professionals. The whole industry was held up by this very large majority of people who bought cameras to take pictures, family snapshots to share with each other, and that, you know, that whole kind of demographic moved on from bigger cameras to little tiny compact digital cameras, and they ended up going, well, I've got a phone and it can take pictures, I'm just going to use my phone. And so this whole industry, you know, was changed drastically almost overnight. And so the camera manufacturers that are left are really struggling to sell cameras and to make a profit, and they are, you know, some of them are struggling to the point of extinction. And that's because the only people who now buy real cameras are a very small proportion of professionals, and there are not that many professionals anymore, and that's a separate subject all on its own. But the majority of people who buy cameras are actually enthusiasts, people who love photography don't do it as a profession. Just love it, and probably have a day job that gives them enough money, enough cash left over at the end of the day to sort of like buy cameras and buy lenses and enjoy it as a hobby. And that is another very strong parallel with this industry, the electronic music making industry, because the vast majority of people who actually buy the latest gear, the latest keyboards, the latest synthesizers are not actually professionals. They are enthusiasts. Enthusiasts are what are the demographic that are propping up this entire industry right now. And if that set of enthusiasts decides through technological advances to get into other ways of making music, then this industry is going to change drastically. And one of the main reasons why I say that is because most enthusiasts are of a certain age. Behringer is making a big, sort of scene over all of its recreations of vintage gear. Everyone wants those and loves those. But we are all of a certain demographic who can remember the originals. And we won't live for forever. And who's going to replace us? Are young people going to be so fascinated with, I don't know, sequential Prophet 5s and Mini Moog Model Ds that they'll want to buy a recreation of those in the future, in 10, 20, 30 years' time? I really hope so, but I'm not sure that many people will actually be left. There's an awful lot of nostalgia around the gear that we are buying today. And if we're not buying analog gear that's a recreation of something vintage, then we are buying a digital emulation of something that's vintage, or we're buying a VST plugin, which is an emulation of something, vintage. This kind of nostalgic, sort of backward-looking way of the market currently surviving isn't going to last for forever, and there are going to be some seismic shifts, I really do believe. I do think it's very interesting to see how many manufacturers are not only offering hardware products but also offering software products. Some of those manufacturers started off in the software world and then moved into hardware, but a lot of them are in hardware and are moving into software. And of course, by producing digital equipment, they've got all those algorithms, they've got a lot of investment in software already, which they can then port to the cloud, to your computer, your device of whatever nature it is, whether it's a phone or it's a tablet, etc. I was actually just flicking through, just picked this up, Sound on Sound magazine. This is the December 2023 edition, and I just thought I'd flick through there and have a look at how many hardware reviews they have versus how many software reviews. Now, Sound on Sound magazine doesn't just cover keyboards and synthesizers, it covers all aspects of recording music. So there's a lot of hardware in here, a lot of outboard gear, headphones, microphones, you name it. So there's a lot of opportunity for hardware in here, but I counted 17 hardware product reviews and 14 software product reviews, so almost 50-50, not quite, almost 50-50. Out of those 17 hardware reviews, 3 of them were Eurorack modules, and out of the software reviews, 4 of them were sample libraries. Quite a lot of plugins and things like that. But software really is kind of, it's not a very obvious revolution, a shift from hardware to software, but it is there, and it is sort of like by stealth. It is creeping up on us more and more and more. Software is there as an option, not just hardware. I do think it's very interesting that this is the trend, and this is the growing trend. And of course, we haven't yet talked about AI. AI really, I guess, is the elephant in the room as far as the future is concerned. So AI really is a topic for a video on its own. It's a massive topic, and I think that it's obviously going to be a part of the future of technology and electronic music making. Absolutely, it's going to be there, whether you like it or not. All I really say on it is that. First of all, I mean, AI is nothing new. AI has been around for decades in one form or another. Sort of smart computer algorithms have been around for decades. Take an example of your groove box, your sampling groove box. You want to chop up your sample, and it's going to detect those points to chop it up. Well, that is a pattern matching algorithm that's going on in there. It's not AI. But it is a smart algorithm looking for repeating patterns and performing an action based on those patterns that it finds. Auto tuning, pitch correction, time stretching algorithms. They are again, looking for patterns, looking for repeating patterns in a stream of audio, looking for transients, and then being able to process those. This is all smart technology. Sometimes it's badged as AI, and it's very easy for people to use AI as a marketing term when it's not really AI. But it's a kind of an AI. Any kind of smart algorithm is a kind of artificial intelligence, let's face it. But the real buzzwords around AI and the real interest around AI today is what we call generative AI. I can't even say it. Generative AI. And this is the kind of the latest flavor of AI that is really, catching all our attention. It's in the news and has been for months and months and months now. And this is a really fascinating technology requiring huge amount of resources, a huge amount of computing power. It requires so many computer servers, if you like, interconnected computer servers. You or I couldn't create our own AI. It wouldn't be very good. But we can tap into these services that these massive technological organizations and corporations are providing for us. And so far what they've done with these AI installations is point them at specific things. And the first thing to point them at is text. We have we've been uploading onto the internet ever since it was created. Been uploading onto the internet text, books, articles, comments, everything, text-based data. I don't know how much. I haven't actually done any research on this, but I don't know how much data is available, publicly available, that is text-based. But pretty much any book that's ever been published is on the internet. And so they get these smart computer algorithms to process all of these words, these billions and trillions and gazillions of words. And it's not just about matching a pattern so that, if you want to ask a question, give me a French poem, then it'll go and find, in its massive library of words, it'll find a French poem. It's not just that simple. Generative AI is far more clever. And what that generative AI is trying to do is to not only just tag words, but so that it can retrieve them for you, but also kind of understand relationships between words. And the end game here, or the goal with this, is for the AI to predict what the next word will be in a sentence. Because, whatever language we speak in, we kind of string together sentences with very similar formats and use vowels and nouns and pronouns in the same ways over and over and over again. A very crude example. Once upon a time, right? How many times must once upon a time be found out there on the internet in text? Billions of times, probably. So once AI is able to look at the relationships and predict what the next word is going to be, if you said to it once upon, it's going to very likely say a time. And then, and this is the thing with generative AI, is once it can predict what the next word is going to be in a sentence, it can give it back to you. And once it's given it back to you, it can predict the next word and give it back to you, and predict the next word and give it back to you. So if you give it enough context about what you want it to talk about, it will, using this relationship knowledge that it's built up, it will just throw words back at you that, because it's been trained on everything that we have written, it will come back meaning something most of the time. It has no clue what it is saying. It has no clue. It has no real intelligence what it is saying. But it is able to sort of like come up with things to say. And this is what generative AI is all about. The important factor here is it has no clue what it is actually returning back to you. So it has no clue whether it is right or wrong. So human beings are then going to have to kind of place rules around what it comes back with and try and control it to say what is right or wrong. And that's a clear indication that AI is not intelligence at all. It is just purely the ability to sort of regurgitate what it has been trained on, all the data that it's been trained on. What's this got to do with electronic music? Probably nothing. Let's talk about images. I mean, this is the one thing that really, really not shocked me, but really surprised me, was how wonderful that AI image generation is. So when we have an AI installation, specifically not looking at text anymore, but looking at images, I read somewhere that, with all our smartphones that we take our photographs and videos on, and with all social media, we as a human being society, a global society, we are uploading something like 3.2 billion images onto the internet and sharing them on the internet every single day. 3.2 billion images, and most of them are publicly available for anyone to see, and certainly for these AI algorithms to go and process. So you've got AI installations that are going off and looking at images, and in the same way that they can kind of build relationships between words in a sentence, these AI installations are looking at the relationships between pixels in an image, so that it can kind of figure out how to when you see a photograph or an image of a cat, what are the sort of like what are the relationships between the pixels that make it look like a cat? And so once it's done this and built these relationships, it can then predict what the next pixels should look like. And then the next pixels and the next pixels and the next pixels. And then because of that, it can come up with some incredibly interesting, sometimes correct looking and sometimes really not correct looking images. And I'm actually really blown away by the artistic capabilities of an AI algorithm that has no clue what image it is generating. But it is using this generative relationship knowledge that's built up about images. I really do believe that, I don't know how many years away, it will be on a main streaming platform like Netflix or whatever. There's going to be a movie, as you say in the United States, or a film, as we say in the United Kingdom. There's going to be a movie that is completely generated by AI, based on a bunch of prompts given to it as to what to generate. There's going to be a movie. It's going to be engaging because the script is also going to be generated by AI based on some prompts as to what the storyline should be, and the music, is going to be generated by AI. It's going to come. Someone's going to do it. And it might be quite interesting. Who knows? It's going to be fascinating. I think AI-generated images are fascinating, so why can't AI-generated music be fascinating? I think it's going to happen, but for me, I'm not interested in AI-generated music so much, although I think it probably is the future. I'm more interested in AI-generated sound. So, if you think of a movie, you think of a film, it's a bunch of moving pictures. it's images moving, or it's different images, 24, 25, depending on what country you're in, 25 times a second. It's images that give the illusion of movement, right? That's what film and movies are. And so what I'm more interested in is the image equivalent in AI, which is a waveform. Why can't I ask AI, give me a waveform? Give me the sound of, I don't know, a massive Tibetan bell being rung inside an ice cavern, and it would come up with that sound for me. Or a little bit more obvious, well, a little bit more sort of like useful to me. Give me the sound of an all-male choir singing C2 in a snowstorm, or give me the sound of a shark sawtooth wave passing through a 24 dB low-pass filter set at 70% resonance, and that filter is modelled on a 1970s analog synthesizer. Why can't it give me that? And if you think about it, AI should be able, with its massive resources that it has, which is every single piece of music and every sound ever uploaded and shared on the internet, why can't it give me any sound I ask for with some simple prompts? And if we get it right, and we get the quality right, then we have at our fingertips probably the most powerful digital synthesizer that could ever be imagined. Just think about that as a tool for us to use. Right, well, that's enough waffling on from me. That's enough crystal ball gazing. I could do this for forever. It really is a fascinating topic for me. Really, please let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the future, as scary as it might be. There's one thing I will just say, is that whatever the future is, technology will be in it. And whatever the future is, we really should attempt to be open to it and not find it as suddenly happening, and we're not even sort of like aware, and it's a great big shock. We need to be open to it, because by being engaged with the way that technology is changing, we do actually have a potential to shape it in some way rather than it being shaped for us. I think that is the most important point that I want to actually give, which I haven't. But please let me know in the comment sections what you think. Let me know what you think about the future, where it's going, how you'd like to see it. I'd be really fascinated to read your views. I think it's the kind of topic, at the end of the year, as 2024 approaches, it's the kind of topic that is on, on some people's minds, many people's minds. Anyway, that's all I have time for. Have a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful new year, and I'll see you in 2024 with more waffling on. Until then, thanks very much for watching.